going on, my people? It is your girl V Marie once again with Spilling the Ink podcast. And I need you guys to tune in today, all my entrepreneurs, because today we're going over how to build attraction and awareness to your brand. And since I did break my nail and had to super glue it on to get here, I need y'all to tune in because it's worth the wait. All right, let's get it. Let's grow. So today, when it goes into awareness and attraction for business, some of my entrepreneurs are saying, well, I can't find my audience. V, I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. V, I want to give up. I can't commit to it. I don't know where the people are. Well, first of all, we have to make sure we tap into our industry by knowing who we are. So when it came to my journey, for instance, with brand development to gain awareness, I first had to be committed to showing up for the people with full transparency. That's first of all. So when it comes to showing up and being committed, you want to ask yourself, do I show signs of that in my personal day-to-day life? I'm talking to my procrastinators. I'm talking to my people that self-sabotage. I'm talking to my people that allow the voices of other people that told you you could never do it. You could never pursue your dreams or your goals. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the one that hadn't really mastered commitment to self. It's time to get out of your own way if you're expecting yourself, your brand, to be committed to serving people. So on my journey of brand development to gain awareness and to attract people to the brand, I first had to show up on a consistent basis with a message that translates to a certain group of people. So that's step one. We're going to pause there because some of us really feel like, well, what do I sell? Or maybe you sell something, but you hadn't checked with anyone to know if they need it. That's the first thing. Some of us are selling, running ourselves ragged, and then we give up prematurely before we can really hit the mark on anything because we lack that commitment. We're not used to committing to something. So if you don't know if you're that person, I want to ask you, when was the last time you post content? When was the last time you created content? When was the last time you went live? When was the last time you sent out an email campaign? All of these things are elements of being able to create awareness and draw attraction to your brand. So I kind of want to take a time to connect this to Christ, for instance. When Christ walked the earth, how did he attract the people to follow him? The main thing he did was he exposed himself. The other thing he did, for my people that are wondering why I don't get support from my friends and family and the people that know me, usually you're not going to be accepted in your familiar territory. So get that out of your mind, because a lot of the people that we expect to support us, we put an expectation on people, not understanding that people usually hold you to the standard of where they knew you, the old you, the one that wasn't as aspiring to be something bigger than what they're familiar with. So usually you don't get the support there. So we could take a page out of Christ's book as to why he left home to build his brand. Yes, Christ is a brand. So stick with me so you can see how this works. When it comes to how he attracted the disciples, he basically used words. He gave a brand promise saying, if you follow me and you put down this and you leave your family to rock with your boy, I can make sure you have life and have it everlasting. I can make sure that you establish salvation and redemption with the Father, right? So the people trusted him. Why? Because of the social proof he showed as he walked through the land, committed to what he said he could do, the brand promise. So going back to you, are you really committed to the promise you're giving your audience? Have you niched down to really understand who you're trying to attract in the first place? We really got to get that clear. And we have to commit to, this is something that I'm going to do every single day, because true bosses don't have days off, especially when you have levels to obtain, right? So let's go deeper into the attraction part. How do we attract an audience? Of course, marketing is a part of that. But when it comes to the different channels that you're using to attract, Where can people find you? A lot of us feel like we can run a brand, product, or service, or both, without showing up. I deal with clients on a day-to-day basis that say, V, I'm an introvert. V, I'm an introvert. Well, let's put a pause on the introvert thing for a second. There is a person that's broken, destitute, confused, needing your product and service, but unfortunately, they can't find a you. They can't solve their pain point because you're hiding. So I need us to understand how important that is to commit to showing up. I also have an introverted side, surprisingly, but I have to push past that knowing that I'm on a mission that's bigger than myself to solve a problem. So ask yourself today, what problem do I solve and who do I commit to serving in order to reach the need of the person that has the problem? When you're clear on the why you do a thing, when you're clear on the problem you solve and you navigate that why and that problem so deep, you usually discover something you've dealt with yourself. Usually our audience is us to a certain extent, but you have to do some soul searching to be able to recognize who you are. So let's get to it. We're going to move back into attraction, okay? Attracting people. We need to really be able to hone into the fact that people are attracted to things that look good, feel good. I don't know if I want to go to taste good, but we'll leave that for another episode, okay? That might have to be a late night episode. We gonna stay focused today. Focus, okay? So when it comes to attracting, saying all of this to say, you know what it takes for someone to attract you. So when you commit to a brand, tell me, what do you think about to buy that outfit, to buy that perfume or cologne, to buy that pair of shoes? What did they do? What did they speak to? Attraction always has a root of you touched a trigger in me. It's an emotional connection. It's something that gets an arousal out of someone. It's something that it makes a person question, am I there? Or it's an emotional response that says, I want to be that. I want to become that. So you have to give something through your messaging on a consistent basis that helps people see, not only do you have what I need, but I feel like through what you've made clear in the messaging, as far as the transformation, the process that I have to go through, you have to make your audience feel like they can obtain it. The actionable steps that you tell them to get to that transformation, it needs to be clear. They need to be aware that, okay, if I wear that cologne, I'm going to feel that particular way. Let's think about Calgon. Their tagline is Calgon, take me away. What does that do for a person? It takes a person to a place of escape. So for the audience that feels like I need an escape, they're going to go and click the link in that bio because you've visually or you've conceptualized through how you make your messaging and your brand clear to that particular person that this is the way to get to the escape that you're seeking, right? So we want to take that in because it's not about selling. Selling is honestly the part of a brand that's called advertisement marketing. That is the end of the journey. And honestly, I'm going to take it here. So if you can't say amen, say ouch. Okay. My people, we are so used to one night stands in our personal lives. We're treating our business that way too. Oh, I'm sorry. I said it. Put a Band-Aid on it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And for those that was already wearing a Band-Aid, snatch it off because it's time to get real with ourselves. You are not going to get committed, loyal customers. You will not have a community that grows on a consistent basis. You will never convert a cold audience into warm or hot, ready to pay money if you have not put the relationship building component first. Okay, so we really need to make sure that when we're trying to gain awareness and attraction as a brand, we need to operate just like Christ did. Be bona fide enough to step out and engage with the people. Be crystal clear on your messaging. Show up consistent. And most importantly, to attract, you need to come off with some confidence. Okay, Christ never backed down from a challenge, honey. He was raising the dead, making the blind man see. So all of his promises were proven as you journeyed with him through his life. So that's why the disciples grew and grew and grew, because he was someone that not only committed to the promise, he proved the transformation. So you gotta save that. Anybody that's got paper or pen right now, or you might just want to save this as your favorite go-to, all right? You need to make sure you can commit to your brand's promise. Be clear on what the promise is. So I would suggest to any business owner, never promise what you cannot prove. Never talk higher than what you can deliver on, in other words. Don't tell me that you can turn my pumpkin into a horse and carriage for the ball, and I go out there and I try to giddy up and the pumpkin is still a pumpkin. Okay, Cinderella would have been fresh out of luck. Okay, so we got to really get clear on what we're doing as far as brand owners. We got to understand what this concept is when we say brand. And for those that don't know what a brand is, the brand is basically the vehicle used to connect the company to the customer. So when you think about Lyft, when you think about Uber, when you think about these things, I want you to hone in on which one was memorable and why was it memorable. Do you want to book the car that was stinky, that didn't have a bottle of water ready for you, that was driving reckless through traffic, had you clutching your pearls thinking this was your last trip? Or do you want the one that had it where you can choose your own music? It had a beverage, it had a mint. They engaged with you with great conversation, and they drove carefully to get you to your destination. That's the one I want to ride with again. That's the one when I get out of the car, I'm raving about, and I'm telling people, hey, I got their car, connect with this person. Word of mouth is still so key when it comes to navigating, growing awareness, and attracting people to your brand. Again, referencing Christ, most of the growth of the disciples, when the people walked, when he just had one disciple and it grew to 5, and 5 grew to 12, and 12 grew to a multitude, it was mainly because of word of mouth. It wasn't just because he had a proven strategy. It was because he proved it in public, and he had the social proof that therefore went out and told other people, because people only buy from who they know, like, and trust. So when it comes to you, how trustworthy is your brand? Are you out here looking counterfeit? Are you out here selling something that you downloaded out of an ebook, but it has nothing to do with your expertise? Are you even clear on how you can really transform someone at this point in your life? Or did you think it was enough just because you had a sales job? You may be good at selling, but how can you close something when you never engaged for the relationship in the first place? Again, the attraction. When we attract, we skip so many stages in the relationship building process, and we go straight for the kill. Going back to that one night stand, honey. Just dirty. Okay, you treating your clientele like a number instead of a person. They don't feel better. Some people go out and they're traumatized. I deal with a lot of clients now, and it's hard for them to trust because they've been burned, just like some people do when you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas, right? Can't say amen, say ouch again. So we need to really understand what we're doing when we make promises to people. Okay, and we need to be committed to understanding it's okay if you can only help people at the level of your expertise or understanding. It's okay. Just because you're a baker that only understands how to make 3-layer cakes doesn't mean you're any less than the professional that has the brick and mortar shop that's making the 17 tiers for the big lavish parties. You may be the person that needs to dedicate niching down to children's parties and really making that your strong suit, and then turning around and teaching the skill to someone else. Don't ever think that you have to be at a level that is not the level of your expertise. Let's stay in our lane and make sure we over deliver for our customers so that we can get the social proof just like Christ did, so that word of mouth can start building and growing that awareness for us. Now, we switch it back, awareness and attraction, because they go hand in hand. So when it comes to attracting people, we were talking about earlier, it needs to feel good. It needs to look good. So how are you tapping into the pain points? That's another question you need to write down. How, me as a business owner, how am I making my messaging clear? But also, how am I translating that I understand the pain that a person is in? Because once you make that clear in your messaging, then you give a series of steps as to how to get out of the pain and make sure they're simple and make sure it's something that your audience can process. And once you have that, then you hone into committing to that messaging over and over again in several channels of marketing. That's including your social media platforms. Some people may get into DMing. They may get into text communities. They may even want to drop people off into a private community where you nurture people that are interested in what you have to offer. But one thing that I have found key as a brand, I have to show proof through giving things away. Yes, that's still popular to do. Everything will not be a sale. Sometimes you have to commit yourself to giving something away, like a tester, like a free quiz, like a worksheet, a downloadable ebook, to prove you have what it takes to give this person the transformation you promised. Okay, so to attract people, just like you saw that girl shaped like a Coke bottle, she caught your eye over in the corner. You trying to see what's up, so you bought her a drink and you just trying to play it out. You, as that Coke bottle shaped woman, at that moment, you give a smile. You may lean over so they can smell how you smell. You may give a little assurance that you got what it takes to get whatever it is that they're trying to get to, right? Same thing ties over into branding. When it comes to the brand, when you attract someone, you want to keep them committed by checking on them constantly with value. So how do I do that, V? Again, you keep checking on them and saying, how was your day? How are you doing? It's just like the dating process with your audience. But you want to do this in the form of things like email marketing, things like blogs, things like partnerships and collaborations, lives, or like what we're doing right now, podcasts, where you are giving valuable information that's constantly honing in to the process of becoming better at whatever pain point you serve in people. Okay, so let's go into the steps as to how to get to that and how we get through that. Most of the time, it's the art of storytelling. The easiest way to get people to commit to a brand is to simply get them engaged in stories. For instance, when I was a young girl growing up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I always had this dream of being in design, some form of design. But I was a fine arts person. And I recall teachers always telling me, you'll probably do at best working at Home Depot, picking color swatches out for someone. Most artists, they don't become aware of until they passed away. Shout out to my homie Van Gogh. Okay. Shout out to my homie Mondrian. All of the fine artists, they usually suffer while trying to strive, and they achieve greatness after they die. That was the concept I had when it comes to, oh my God, am I actually chasing a dream? But I felt like my instinct and my insight was drawing me nearer to a purpose. So I was like, how can I take graphics, design, fine arts? Like, how does it make sense? Fortunately, God downloaded this idea and he's like, well, computers are taking over at the phase when I was in college. And I said, well, you know what? Let me connect fine arts with the computer. And that brought me to graphic design. So I honed into graphics. I became a graphic designer, graduated with honors in digital communication. And then I grew a company called Panther Inc. Graphics. And for the last over 20 years, I've been a graphic designer for business owners. But then COVID came. And lo and behold, I didn't know COVID was going to be a blessing in disguise, because it took me out of corporate and it forced me to grow. So saying all that to say, sometimes we have to take the inconveniences of life, the fears of life, and we take our power back from those things and we apply it to the purpose that we're driven to arrive to. And if you're still not clear on your purpose, it's still some soul searching that needs to be done. When it comes to purpose, I look at it as your instinctual connection. What is it that draws people to you? What is it that people rely on you for? What is it that you can't stop thinking about from day to day? What is that one thing you know you could teach in your sleep? That's where you want to start. And if you're like, I don't know what I could teach, well, think about the pain that you've been able to get yourself out of. What are those steps that you took to arise to healing, to arise to a greater person, to transform yourself into the person we see and know today? And you start there. Maybe you're good with kids, so maybe you should write a children's book. Maybe you should teach. Maybe you should open a daycare. You may be good at sewing. You might have been the person that always got the hem right in the pants leg of your mom, or you stitched when your sister went to prom and her dress didn't fit quite right. It was just a natural gift. Maybe you need to look into being a seamstress. And then you take that knowledge, you put it in a book and you sell it. Okay? And our next episode, we're going to talk about that part because that's dealing with authority. Okay? You want to gain authority. But today we're dealing with attraction and awareness. So when it comes to that attraction concept, you want to make sure you master storytelling. I went into a little preface of my story to bring you in to the background of where I came from, my journey, and where I arrived as far as my credentials. And I gave that to you as an illustration to link you to how I'm committed to getting you out of the same pain. So storytelling is something that we all need to figure out how to master, because that part alone gets us to the point of attracting people that can hone in and relate to whatever our concepts are in day-to-day life. So what's your why? Being committed and consistent is what we went over today. We also related everything in regards to how Christ attracted and gained awareness. It was social proof. It was word of mouth. It was being consistent in the messaging. Okay. But most importantly, when it comes to attraction, don't just stop there once you lure someone or attract someone with a piece of content or a phrase you may have stated. You've got to continue to date that consumer, date that prospect. You got to check on them. You got to give them a freebie here and there. You may even have to launch a free workshop. Do a 3-day low ticket offer challenge. Anything it takes to keep this person on the ongoing journey with you and your brand, to where it proves you are committed to seeing them through with actionable steps to transform them, to get them out of whatever pain they're in. And in your messaging, make sure you are consistent with the same message throughout each platform. So if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on TikTok, and I need us to also be aware that each platform serves a different audience a different way. You cannot say, click the link in bio on Facebook. What link in bio? You cannot post a carousel on Instagram and expect it to show up as a carousel on Facebook. It's not going to be a carousel. So we have to really be able to do a little research on each platform, understand the age groups that are drawn to each platform and how they function. And once you understand what you want to really commit to as far as a platform, be consistent in keeping your messaging the same. And that includes your website. That includes the business card, the banner, the brochure. Everything needs to be the same across the board. So I hope that you guys really are getting what I'm putting down today, because I know that's a lot of information to take in, but that's why I wanted to use something we could relate to, like Christ and his walk and his journey and how he was committed to his brand, how you can apply it to you, how you can really stay committed. And hopefully it helps you to tap in to question yourself about your personal development. Are you able to commit to the relationships that you already have? Ask yourself that. Are you in and out of these spiraling relationships, whether it's commitment to family, friends, in business, your intimate relationships? How does that look for you? I even want you to think so far as, are you the hoarder, the clutter person? If I were to open your trunk today, is it cluttered in your car? That is a direct reflection of your thoughts. That's a direct reflection of how you function. So of course it's going to show up in business. So sometimes we got to work on self while we're developing these brands so that we can hone into who do I serve? How do I serve them? How can I stay consistent and committed to the problem I solve? So I need us to ask ourselves that and do the work. And I need us to be able to be committed to an end goal bigger than ourselves. Because entrepreneurship, technically, it's never about you. A lot of people run to being an entrepreneur like it's the thing that's going to break them free. Honey, entrepreneurship is worse than working for somebody else. That's why you have to be people driven. You have to be community driven, and you have to be focused on solving a problem that helps people and not you. So going back to your audience is typically a person that went through the same types of scenarios you've been through. You want to start with that story and stay consistent in that story so that you can build that awareness and you can build that attraction. Because I promise you, as you start to unravel and unfold all of the things that have happened through your storytelling and your illustrations, you're going to break into some things that really trigger emotion. And content is all about emotional triggers. So we'll learn more about emotional triggers and how to pull on those later. But today, I hope that I helped when it comes to awareness and attraction for you all. All right, my people, I need you to go and I need you to like this. I need you to subscribe and I need you to share it out. Make sure you let everybody know about Spilling the Ink, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. It's your girl, V. Marie, coming to you once again with another episode. Tune in next time. Love and light, each and every one of you. I'm out. Peace.